Hey guys, your boy MKS. Hope everyone's doing well. There's part 3 of my ideas about. I wasn't sure what to call the video, but I decided to call it Dyslexics United, because it's mostly about events and conferences I hope to run, but it's also like some of them are about ideas I hope to work on. I still forgot the point I wanted to mention in part 1 of the video. So that's a bit frustrating, but yeah, hopefully I'll remember it at some point. But if not today, then maybe another time. But yeah, so I thought I'd get back to my list. Anyways, point 21, I hope to remember. Sorry, for anyone who hasn't checked out, please check out part 1 and should go part 2, because otherwise this might not make too much sense. But yeah, so I'm making a list of conferences, events, and things like that, mainly that I want to host to raise awareness of dyslexia and possibly related conditions. 21, hope to remember some of my older ideas. 22, dyslexia awareness is in October, but I also think like because I want to do stuff about dyslexia and Italian football, stuff like that. Dyslexics support Italian football, perhaps, something like that, if at all possible, or at least or raising awareness of dyslexia via Italian football, perhaps is a better way of putting it. But yeah, so like 17th of March is dyslexia is Italy's Unification Day, so perhaps like dyslexic people who live in Italy could be, as well as like maybe minorities as well, on the 17th of March, could be invited to play football games and talk about their ideas and strategies and how they can benefit Italian football. And it's also Ireland. I think it's Ireland's national day, St. Patrick's Day. So perhaps on 17th there could be events for Ireland's dyslexic community as well. For Ireland's dyslexic community as well, and also like August, which is my birth month, especially 29th, which is my birthday. I was thinking maybe there could be events for August for dyslexia. I don't know if other people would agree with that, because we might just want to stick to October, because that's supposed to be dyslexia. That's supposed to be Dyslexia Awareness Month, as I call it, Dyslexia Awareness and Empowerment Month. But other people might want to. I'd love to hear what dyslexic people think about these ideas. As I say, all these ideas are just suggestions at the moment. They're sort of things. They're sort of my sort of goals or dreams, which I really love to do. Like, as I say, to have events all over Africa, talk about dyslexia and entrepreneurship, and inviting politicians and general members of the public, as well as dyslexics and dyslexic organisations from those countries as well, like in Kenya, Malawi, and all over Africa, as many African countries as we can do, depending on the practicality of. Obviously 54 countries would be really hard to do, but maybe over time we can do as many of those as possible. On that note, I was thinking like Central Africa. I'd love Central Africa to be, I talked about this in previous videos, but I love Central Africa to like be at peace with itself, so that they can have many Pan-African events, including things about learning disability, as well as tourism, technology, and many other things that bring together the continent in Central Africa. So if it was peaceful enough and safe enough, maybe dyslexic people around the world could go to Central Africa and talk about how dyslexics could benefit Africa as a continent, including Central Africa itself, of course, and all the other 53 or so countries. And we could do similar things for Asia, maybe in Central Asia, symbolically, like central, being central of the country. Although I'd love to support, for some reason or the other, I love to support Malaysia, India, especially India, Indonesia, and Singapore, which has the Dyslexia Association of Singapore, DAS, and the Prime Minister of Singapore, the first Prime Minister of the independent Singapore was, I think his name was Lee Q Wan, and he was dyslexic apparently, and I find it quite. I'd love to do that as well. Like, apparently, I don't know if it's true, but apparently in China, they see dyslexic people as mentally retarded, as they would put it, which is quite. Here in the UK, we have the politically correctness or political correctness or PC. We wouldn't use terms like retarded, even from people with mental health problems or whatever. So let alone dyslexia. But in China, I think they see people with dyslexia as mentally slow or retarded or whatever they call it, is what I've heard. And I think the irony is Lee Q-wan, I hope I pronounced his name right, the first leader of Singapore when it became independent, was dyslexic apparently, but also his reforms actually is probably of Chinese descent originally, because a lot of people from Singapore are of Indian or Chinese descent, I think. So anyway, but he was he also had reforms that helped China, and apparently his reforms or ideas are a lot of the reason why China took off and did really well with his advice. I'm not 100% sure if that's true, but if it is, I think it'd be really interesting for people in China to know that, like, that it was a dyslexic guy who actually came up with ideas that and strategies, and also put them into practice or helped to implement them, which helped China to grow into one of the top economies. So if that's true, if it is true, I think if we could research it and start find that's true, I think that would be amazing for people in China to know as well. 23, I hope to do lots of fundraising for dyslexic people, as I say, especially, as I say, in Africa and Asia and possibly indigenous communities. Again, if we can diagnose people with dyslexia in those communities, or dyslexic people themselves, fundraising for what I call the Four and other countries like Ireland, and especially to support people, homeless people around the world, 10% poorest people around the world. I'd love to encourage dyslexic people and other neurodiverse people to use creativity to do that. And considering dyslexia is seen as a weakness, I think it would be quite an irony if dyslexic people were actually helping many other people. Like Richard Branson, he's done really well, and I know not everyone's keen on him, but he has seemed to have done quite a lot of things for people, hopefully in Asia and Africa, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, so fundraising ideas, and going back to some of those shows, I'd love to have like a dyslexic version of Deal or No Deal, and perhaps discuss what could be done with the show to make it like dyslexia awareness special, or fundraising for dyslexic special. Again, the panelists could all be dyslexic. Andrew, all the hosts. Maybe have a woman with dyslexia as a host, and they could be some with autism or autistics or people with ADHD perhaps as well, or how the conditions are related and things like that. So, but yeah, fundraising events like marathons and stuff like that, and like fundraising for schools in Africa, like my friend's school, Rare Gem, and Dyslexia in Malaysia, and things like that. So dyslexic people being empowered to help others as well. I hope that makes sense. I'd love to hear what your ideas are about fundraising, or what you think about that, as well as the rest of the video. 24, I suppose I have biases, like, because I support like democracies and countries that were colonized, especially countries that were colonized and things like that. So that's one of the reasons why I love to support countries in Africa and Asia, possibly Ireland as well, because they were colonized. Although I suppose you could say if you go back far enough, you could see like Britain was colonized, but I still would prefer to help the African, Asian nations and Ireland and so forth, especially Africa in terms of technology, and Aboriginal communities and Indigenous communities, Native Americans and so forth. 25, I also hope to support republics, I'm in favour of republics. 26, again, like countries that were colonized or anti-imperial events, killing two birds with one stone. If I'm honest about the reasons why part of the reason at least of why I want to help Africa, like partly is because Africa has so much poverty, and I think helping them would really help. Another second point is I think that Africa and Asian countries don't know much about dyslexia, perhaps as much as Western countries. So I think that's another reason to support them, to raise more awareness. And the other thing is that they were colonized and things like that. So me personally, like I say, I especially love to support dyslexics in those countries. 27. I hope to look to how to help, how to encourage companies to like sponsor dyslexic events or to sponsor dyslexic entrepreneurs and all that, and sort of acknowledge those companies that have helped dyslexics. 28, again, I hope to change people's perceptions of dyslexia, and again, people see more positive sides of dyslexia. So to change the perceptions from negative to positive, although acknowledging that dyslexics do have weaknesses in certain areas. And people talk about the left and the right brain. They say that this is disputable, but a lot of people say dyslexic people have a right, or people learning disabilities have a right-sided brain, which is like creative, deals with creativity and things like that. Whereas non-dyslexic or non-learning disabled people probably have a left brain, which deals with following instructions, and so it just helps in like rote learning or academia, learning to read or write, follow instructions and things like that, which are obviously very academic, or used more in a corporate environment or 9 to 5 and things like that. Whereas like running your own business, thinking outside the box, is more right-brained. But yeah, to learn as many things, and I'll probably got to learn more myself as well. So it's not like I know everything about dyslexia necessarily. I'm sure there's lots I could learn as well. Dyslexic people can talk about their personal experiences. Like dyslexic people who run a business will know a lot more about running a business and what it takes to run a business and so forth. And dyslexic people who have run businesses and failed and succeeded as well, so they'll know both sides of the coin about what it takes to take the risk and things like that. 29, again, I hope to put forward my goals or my dreams about countries like I say, about Italian football and Celtic and Ireland and Africa, Asia, the Americas, Australasia, and supporting those as an anti-imperialist. So I hope to put forward my ideas, and also try to listen to what other people think as well, like what countries they would like to tour for whatever reason. Like say, for instance, if lots of dyslexic people said, yeah, Italy would be a great country, and perhaps they would want to go more and do more sightseeing. So perhaps we could go together to Italy, but we could also and learn to plan and help each other to plan our journey. Remember how teach each other tips about how to remember things. Like I like to have lists which help me to organise things, and I think they help me to remember things. But other dyslexic people might have something else that helps them. Sometimes they might have technology or other things that help them. But we can also help each other to remind each other about things or whatever. But yeah, if I went to Italy, maybe I'd go to more football stuff, and other dyslexic people might go to Italy, but they might come and do some of the football activities, but they might also want to do other things and do more sightseeing, more than I would do. But I'd do more football stuff. But like when we're there, we could also go to do separate things if we want to, but we can also plan to go places together as well, to socialise. And part 30, I might come up. I might try and remember some of the things I might have forgotten or whatever, and make some more videos about potential things about dyslexia. Plans for next year, as I say. Yeah, I think that covered everything. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'd love to have your support. And as I say, for anyone who saw my video a bit earlier, like it was quite a sad video, but I wanted to try and bring a more cheery video. Like if I manage to achieve these things next year, I think I'll be really happy. And hopefully with help from other dyslexics, I can put it into practice, and hopefully also make other people happy too. So I'm just trying to like be more positive and just but as I said, in a respectful way. So I don't want people to think like it might be inappropriate to laugh or make jokes, but I still kind of like to do that. But maybe I'll just do that another time. Maybe I'll do that like either tomorrow or another day, where I'll be more jovial, or maybe it'll take me a week or so. But yeah, I really hope someone out there liked this video. I just want to share some of my thoughts. What place do you think dyslexic people should, if we could run conferences, or what sort of challenges do you think would face? And if you're dyslexic, if you could run conferences or organise areas we could go to, what sort of places would you like to go? But yeah, I'd love to have your feedback and support each other as a community as dyslexics. And like I say, I'm just trying to plan for next year a bit better. So hopefully I can start to actually not just talk about my ideas, but actually, with help, as I say, implement some of these ideas at conferences that will help a lot of people. Yeah, out of these lists, what parts did you not like and what parts did you like? I'd really love to have your feedback. Yeah, I think that covers everything. Oh yeah, I did. When I was at the hospital, I did quite a lot of exercise. I walked up and down like 9 flights of stairs. I didn't take the lift part. I do sometimes get a bit claustrophobic in the lift, but that wasn't the reason why I didn't take the lift. It was just like I wanted to do a lot of exercise as well. So going up and down 9 flights of stairs quite a few times was it was tiring, but it gave. I think I probably lost quite a few calories. Anyway, I'm going to stop waffling. I often struggle to find a way to end these videos, but good night all. Peace and love.